The autumn sun cast golden rays through the tall windows of the Metropolitan Convention Center. Celine Hart adjusted the display of silver rings on black velvet, each piece handcrafted in her tiny Brooklyn studio. Her jewelry line, Ember Designs, represented 5 years of late nights, burned fingers, and unwavering determination. "Stop fidgeting," Nina whispered beside her, arranging delicate copper bracelets. "Everything looks perfect." Celine smoothed her simple black dress. Around them, other vendors showcased their wares at the annual Small Business Expo. Some booths overflowed with expensive decorations and promotional materials. Selena's display was modest but elegant, just like her designs. "Miss Hart?" A deep voice interrupted her thoughts. She turned to find a tall man in an impeccably tailored charcoal suit. His dark hair was styled perfectly, and his confident posture screamed wealth. Everything about him felt expensive, from his leather shoes to his subtle cologne. "That's me," Celine replied, meeting his blue eyes directly. "Julian Cross." He extended his hand. "I've been admiring your work. The craftsmanship is exceptional." Celine shook his hand briefly. She recognized the name immediately. Julian Cross had built a technology empire before turning 30. Now he invested in small businesses, though rumors suggested he often consumed them entirely. "Thank you. Each piece is designed and made by hand." Julian picked up a silver pendant shaped like a phoenix. The intricate feathers caught the light beautifully. "This is remarkable. How long does one piece take?" "Depends on the complexity. That one took about 40 hours. His eyebrows rose. "And you price it at $200? You're undervaluing your work." Celine felt her spine stiffen. "I price fairly. My customers appreciate quality they can afford. It's admirable, but not sustainable." Julian set down the pendant carefully. "I invest in promising businesses. Ember Designs has potential, but you need capital to scale properly. Better equipment, marketing, perhaps a storefront. I'm not looking for investors." Julian smiled, seemingly amused by her directness. "Most business owners would at least hear the offer." "I'm not most business owners." Celine crossed her arms. "I built this company from nothing. Every tool, every piece of metal, every customer came through my own effort. I'm not interested in giving up control." "Control?" Julian's expression shifted to something more serious. "I'm offering resources, not a takeover. With proper backing, you could reach thousands of customers instead of hundreds." "At what cost?" Celine challenged. "In my experience, money always comes with strings attached. People like you don't invest out of kindness. You see profit potential, and you want a piece of it." Nina touched her arm gently. "Celine, maybe we should just listen, no?" Celine's voice remained firm. "Mr. Cross, I appreciate your interest, but Ember Designs grows at its own pace. We're doing fine." Julian studied her for a long moment. Instead of anger, something like respect flickered in his eyes. He reached into his jacket and produced a business card. "When you're ready to have a real conversation, call me. That pride of yours is impressive, Miss Hart, but the jewelry business is competitive. Sometimes independence means knowing when to accept help." Celine took the card only because refusing seemed childish. "I'll keep that in mind." After Julian left, Nina turned to her with wide eyes. "Do you know who that was?" "Julian Cross doesn't personally approach small businesses. This is huge." "It's a trap," Celine muttered, tucking the card into her pocket. "Men like him collect companies like trophies. I've worked too hard to become someone else's success story." "Or maybe he genuinely sees your talent," Nina suggested softly. Celine returned her attention to a customer approaching the booth. But her mind remained unsettled. She had built everything herself because that was the only way she knew how. Her father Thomas had taught her that real achievement meant relying on your own hands and mind. Yet as the day progressed, she found herself glancing at other booths with their professional displays and abundant inventory. She thought about the old jewelry saw that kept jamming, the cramped workspace, the orders she had to turn down because she couldn't produce enough pieces. That evening, back in her studio apartment that doubled as her workshop, Celine pulled out Julian's card. The paper was thick, expensive, just like everything else about him. She placed it on her cluttered workbench between sketches and metal scraps. Tomorrow, she would throw it away. Tonight, though, she let herself wonder what resources could mean for Ember Designs. The thought both excited and terrified. It her in equal measure. 3 weeks passed since the expo. Celine threw herself into work, determined to prove she needed no one's help. Orders were steady, and she had saved enough to buy a new polishing machine. Small victories, but they were hers alone. The phone rang early one Tuesday morning. Nina's voice trembled with panic. "Celine, the pipe burst. The entire studio is flooded." Alina's heart dropped. She raced across town to the small commercial space they rented for storage and larger projects. Water poured from a crack in the ceiling pipe, soaking everything below. Boxes of finished jewelry sat in puddles. Her tools were submerged. Months of inventory ruined. "The landlord says the building's plumbing is ancient," Nina said, tears streaming down her face. "Insurance might not cover everything, and the craft fair is this weekend." We needed those pieces. Celine stood frozen, watching water drip onto her dreams. She had $1,700 in savings. The damage looked like it would cost 10 times that amount. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. Miss Hart. "This is Julian Cross. I heard about the flood through business networks. I want to help." Celine's first instinct was to refuse. But standing in the ruins of her studio, pride felt like a luxury she couldn't afford. "How did you even know?" "I make it my business to know. Listen, I have a restoration team that specializes in water damage. They can be there in an hour. No charge, no strings, nothing is free, Mr. Cross." "Then consider it a loan of services. Pay me back when you can." His voice softened. "I know you don't trust me, but right now, you need help. Let me provide it." Celine looked at Nina's hopeful face, then at the destroyed inventory. Swallowing her pride felt like choking on glass. 1 hour. Send them. True to his word, Julian arrived with a professional crew. They worked efficiently, extracting water and setting up industrial fans. Julian himself helped salvage jewelry, carefully drying each piece with surprising gentleness. "You don't have to do this yourself," Celine said, watching him kneel beside a box of silver earrings. He examined a pair closely. "These are too beautiful to lose." For hours, they worked side by side. Julian never mentioned investment or business opportunities. He simply worked, asking occasional questions about her designs, listening intently to her answers. By evening, the crisis was contained. Most of the jewelry was saved. The damage, while significant, wasn't catastrophic anymore. "Thank you," Celine said quietly. The words felt inadequate. Julian smiled, his expensive suit now damp and wrinkled. "You're welcome. About payment, forget what I said earlier. Consider it a gift between artists." "Artists. I collect art. You create it. That makes us both appreciate beauty and craftsmanship." He paused at the door. "There's a gallery opening Thursday night. Contemporary metalwork exhibition. Would you like to attend?" "Just as friends, not business associates." Celine hesitated. Every instinct warned her to refuse, but gratitude and curiosity warred with her caution. "Just friends?" "Just friends," he confirmed. "All right, Thursday." The gallery was intimate and elegant, showcasing sculptures that made Selena's heart race with inspiration. Julian proved to be knowledgeable and passionate about art, discussing techniques and artistic vision with genuine enthusiasm. "My mother was a sculptor," he explained over wine. "She worked with copper and bronze. Taught me to appreciate the artistry in metalwork before she passed away." "I'm sorry," Celine said softly. "She would have loved your designs." Julian's expression grew distant. "She always said true value comes from creating something beautiful that outlasts you. Money was just a tool to support the creation." "Is that why you invest in small businesses?" "Partly also because I remember struggling. My first company nearly failed 3 times. Each time someone took a chance on me, not because they wanted control, but because they believed in the vision." He met her eyes. "I see that same vision in you, Celine. That same fire." Something shifted between them in that moment. Celine saw past the expensive clothes and billionaire reputation to the person underneath. Someone who understood the terror and thrill of building something from nothing. "I'm afraid," she admitted suddenly. afraid that accepting help means losing myself. My father always said dependence makes you weak. Dependence and partnership are different things, Julian said gently. Your father sounds like a wise man, but maybe he confused isolation with strength. They talked until the gallery closed, then walked through the city streets. Julian spoke about his mother's studio, about watching her create art despite financial struggles. Celine shared stories of learning metalwork from YouTube videos in her cramped apartment, burning herself repeatedly until she mastered the techniques. You're extraordinary, Julian said, as they reached her subway station. Not because you do everything alone, but because you care so deeply about your craft. Celine felt her carefully constructed walls beginning to crack. Julian, I don't know how to do this. How to accept help without losing who I am. Maybe start small, he suggested. Have coffee with me tomorrow. We can talk about nothing important. No business, no pressure. Just conversation. She found herself nodding. Just conversation. As the subway carried her home, Celine realized something fundamental had changed. Julian wasn't trying to buy her company or control her vision. He simply saw her, truly saw her, in a way few people ever had. The thought terrified and thrilled her equally. Coffee became lunch. Lunch became dinners. Over the following weeks, Celine and Julian built something unexpected. A genuine connection based on mutual respect and shared passion. For craftsmanship, Julian never pushed about investment. Instead, he introduced her to artisan metalworkers, connected her with ethical suppliers, and offered advice only when asked. Slowly, Celine's perspective shifted. Help didn't have to mean surrender. One evening, Julian invited her to his penthouse. She expected ostentation but found something different. A home filled with art, books, and photographs of family. In the corner sat his mother's final sculpture, a copper phoenix rising from flames. It's beautiful, Celine breathed, touching the metal reverently. She made it during her last year, said it represented transformation through fire. Julian stood beside her. I think she'd recognize that same spirit in you. Celine turned to him, suddenly aware of how close they stood. Julian, I need to tell you something. I've been thinking about your original offer. His expression remained neutral. And I'm terrified. But I'm also realistic. Ember Designs can't grow the way I want without resources. More importantly, I don't want to do this alone anymore. She took a deep breath. But I have conditions. Name them. I maintain creative control. Every design decision is mine. You're a partner, not an owner. And if this doesn't work, if I feel like I'm losing myself, I walk away with my designs and my dignity intact. Julian extended his hand. Deal, though I'd add one more condition. What? Dinner with me. Not as business partners, but as something more. His voice softened. Because somewhere between that expo and tonight, I stopped seeing just a brilliant jeweler. I started seeing the woman behind the art. Someone strong, passionate, and extraordinary. Celine's heart hammered. That's terrifying too. The best things usually are. Julian stepped closer. I'm not trying to buy your heart, Celine. I'm asking if you'd consider giving it freely. She thought about her father's lessons about independence. But she also thought about Julian kneeling in floodwater to save her jewelry. About their conversations that stretched until dawn. About the way he looked at her designs with genuine wonder. True strength wasn't refusing all help. It was choosing who deserved your trust. One condition, she whispered. Anything, we build this together. Equal partners in business and everything else. Julian smiled, the expression transforming his entire face. I wouldn't want it any other way. Their kiss was soft and tentative, a promise of partnership rather than possession. When they pulled apart, Celine felt something settle in her chest. Not surrender, but acceptance. Not weakness, but a different kind of strength. 6 months later, Ember Designs opened its first storefront. The space gleamed with Celine's jewelry displayed like the art it was. Julian had provided the capital, but every design decision belonged to her. They had built something beautiful together at the opening celebration. Thomas approached Julian with a craftsman's critical eye. You treating my daughter right? I'm trying to deserve her, Julian replied honestly. Thomas studied him for a long moment, then nodded. That's the right answer. She's stubborn like her old man. But sometimes stubbornness needs balance. Celine joined them, linking her arm through Julian's. Are you two conspiring? Just understanding each other, Thomas said, kissing her forehead. I'm proud of you, sweetheart. You've built something remarkable, and you were smart enough to find a partner who respects what you've created. That night, as they stood in the empty store surrounded by her designs, Julian pulled Celine close. Any regrets? She thought about the journey from that expo to this moment, about learning that accepting help wasn't betraying herself, but honoring her dreams enough to give them every chance to succeed. No, none. You didn't buy my heart, Julian. You earned it by respecting my vision and believing in my strength. And you taught me that real value isn't measured in money, he replied. It's measured in passion, dedication, and the courage to create something beautiful against all odds. Outside, the city lights sparkled like the jewelry surrounding them. Two people who had learned that true partnership meant supporting each other's fire rather than trying to control it. Selena's pride hadn't been stronger than Julian's fortune. It had simply been strong enough to wait for someone who understood that her independence was precious, not a problem to solve. Together, they had created something neither could have built alone, a partnership forged in mutual respect. Strengthened by trust and illuminated by love, the phoenix had risen from the flames. Not despite the fire, but because of it.